Hello guys and welcome back to our sustainable clothing channel. Today I have Jenny
Hi.
by me and we are going to talk about the overconsumption, which is a huge problem when we talk about fast fashion. And basically the problem is that we buy clothes that we don't really need.
Yeah.
And we are not aware that we don't need them because we feel like we have to be trendy and fashionable, and we always want to look good.
Yeah.
And there are huge brands that are on the top of the market when it comes to buying clothes. They have the strategies where they have to put out new collections every season and several times a year, which produces so many clothes, and they are just not needed. So the consumer gets the impression that they need these clothes to be trendy.
Yeah.
And I think this is a mindset that has to be changed. Another big problem of fast fashion is that they shorten the time of everything. They shorten the cost, so it makes everything better for the consumer, better as we think, but it's not really better.
It is also way too cheap, I think, to produce clothing with a certain quality.
Yeah, that's true. We people, as consumers, think that we buy clothes and it's good for us when they are cheap.
Yeah.
But actually, they're just cheap because there are terrible conditions for the workers. They don't have enough payment, and the quality is so bad that we need to buy more clothes.
Yeah, exactly.
One T-shirt that we buy for like
A few euros.
yeah, €9, and after wearing it for like a few times and washing it, it's already damaged, so that we have to buy another one. And it adds up so high that we could invest in high quality fashion that would last so much longer, but we in our minds think that we save money by buying cheap clothes.
Yeah.
And it's also the whole sale thing. We buy clothes in sale and think, yeah, that's cheap and it's a good investment, but really it's not. It's just cheap. And because we think that we buy cheap clothes for like €5 or something, and then we buy more because it's cheap. And then in the end, we pay even more money because we buy more.
And you have like 3 shirts that you don't need.
Yeah. So I think our minds should switch and everyone should buy more clothes in secondhand stores because we have enough clothes on our planet for everyone, and there is basically no need to produce more clothes.
Yeah.
And I get the point that many people say that the clothes in secondhand stores are maybe not very fashionable, which brings us to the next point. We can basically
make it fashionable.
We pimp them up when we buy clothes. And for that, I have basic sewing techniques that I'm going to show you.
Oh, I'm excited.
And I think we can start. So, of course, there are basic supplies that you need for sewing. Today I will focus on hand sewing, which is much easier and you don't have to invest in an expensive sewing machine. Of course, if you plan on sewing more clothes or just pimping up clothes from secondhand stores, it would be a good investment. I would suggest buying a sewing machine if you want to do this. But today just hand sewing, and basic supplies for this are, of course, fabric or the piece of clothing you want to sew, some
scissors,
fabric scissors, and also some small scissors. You can also use the fabric scissors, but for the thread, which we are also going to need, these small embroidery scissors are much better. And basically, fabric scissors and embroidery scissors are just scissors that you haven't used before.
On paper or anything
Yes.
else.
You can use any scissors. Yeah, as I said, the thread, needle, of course, and which can be also helpful is measuring tape. If you want to adjust clothing that doesn't fit you very well to yourself, then you can measure it and adjust it. And what can be also very useful is a pen or tailor's chalk to sketch out where you want to sew.
So, and we use a white pen because we have black fabric.
Yeah. And
What is this?
This is a seam ripper. It's basically a tool with which you can fix stitches or the lines that you messed up. When you make a mistake, you can easily open up the lines with this one and don't have to cut it all out with the scissors, which would be much more difficult. Yeah. For you today, I have
Thank you.
example fabric, and I'm going to show you some basic stitches that you can use. And which color do you want to pick?
I think I want to pick yellow because you can see it on the fabric.
Yeah, that's very good. I pick purple. To start off, we have our needle and the thread already in, and I think we are going to start with the easiest one, which is a temporary stitch. It's called, I think, the running stitch. In the beginning, you start off by picking through the fabric with the needle and basically just going in right afterwards, down again, and then you have a line and just pull it, and in the back, to secure it, you can go through the two strings again, and then it's secure in the beginning and doesn't open up again. And then you have one line, and with this thread you have here, you go up again, and then just go down again a little bit, a little bit more forward. So you should have a line that is not consistent. And then you do it all over again until you have a line. This stitch is a temporary stitch, so if you don't secure it in the beginning, you can just pull it out, and by this you can try out a line, and if you don't like it, you just do it again. And yeah, this is very good if you want to adjust clothing to yourself and you're not sure if it's going to work out. You can try it out, and if you like it, you make it secure, and if you don't like it, you can just pull it out. The next stitch is a more secure one. It's the back stitch, and it works pretty similar to the last one. You start again by pulling the needle through the fabric and go back in again, just like before. But then you come up and stick the needle through in the middle of the line that you just did. And then you go inside the fabric again a little bit further. Just like this. And then you start again inside the thread on the line, and then a little bit further. If you're not sure if you can stay on one line, you can just sketch them out first, so you have kind of a guideline on where you want to put the stitches. The last stitch I have for you is the slip stitch, which is also known as the magic stitch because it's not visible in the end if you do it right. It is used to fill up holes and to close them up again. Yeah, so we simulated a hole here that we want to close up. We begin with the needle going through the fabric, of course, just on one side, so it's inside the fabric. And also secure it again by going through the loop. So now you have a beginning point right here. And what you are going to do now is you lay the thread over the hole to the other side, and with your needle you're going to stitch where you lay down the thread, go inside and go out a little bit further. Just like this. And then you lay over the thread again and do the same thing. Go in and out again. And this is what you repeat until the hole is closed up. When you finish the line, you should have many small lines here, which can be parallel to each other, but they don't have to be, as you see. And this is why it's also called the letter stitch, because it kind of looks like a letter. And if you now pull the thread, it closes up, as you can see. And it's even better if you do it more close together, then it's obviously neater. But as you can see, even though I used a very contrasting thread to the fabric, it's almost not visible. And this is what you want to achieve with this. Yeah, now you know the basic stitches. You are able to adjust your clothing to yourself. Again, I would say that shopping in secondhand shops is so much better than in the big brands, because it has so many advantages for myself. The clothing is unique. You can go for a lot of vintage clothing, but you can make it also very modern by just altering it however you want to have it. So it's adjustable and it's a lot cheaper. You don't have to pay as much as in huge brands for the fanciest clothes. You can just make them yourself. And I think it's a very beautiful, fun and unique way to create your own clothing.
Yeah. So I also wanted to say that I didn't know that the magic stitch is the one thing in my life that I ever needed. So thank you very much for teaching me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, I hope you learned something too and don't get trapped in the sales system anymore.